Welcome to this deep dive. We're looking today at the crucial intersection of artificial intelligence and human rights. It's a topic that, well, it just keeps getting more important, doesn't it?
It really does. And we've got some great materials to help us unpack it for you, the learner.
Yeah, we've got a study guide on AI ethics and human rights, a briefing document, an overview piece.
And even a global AI governance timeline. So a pretty comprehensive set of sources, really.
Basically, we want to cut through the noise and give you the key insights, the challenges, what it all actually means.
Exactly. Forget feeling overwhelmed. We're aiming for clarity.
Okay, so let's jump right in. Our sources point to a fundamental question, maybe the fundamental question. What's the primary challenge where AI meets human rights?
Well, it seems the big push internationally is making sure AI enhances what humans can do.
Right, enhances capabilities.
But crucially, while respecting our basic rights, democratic values, the rule of law, all that fundamental stuff.
It sounds like a real balancing act.
It is. Because AI's potential is huge, right? You can touch everything from healthcare to free speech.
Mm-hmm.
So ensuring it aligns with our values,
Yeah.
that's not just nice to have, it's essential. We need responsible tech, not just powerful tech.
That leads nicely into something else. Our sources highlight the shift in how AI governance is being approached.
Ah, yes.
Yeah,
The move away from just letting the industry figure it out on its own.
exactly. Towards frameworks that are explicitly grounded in human rights principles. The UNESCO recommendation in 2021 seems pivotal here.
Oh, absolute pivotal. Before that, it was often, well, maybe more about voluntary codes of conduct.
Okay.
The UNESCO recommendation, though, that was 194 member states basically saying, hold on, human rights need to be central. It signaled a major shift towards needing proper international standards.
Right, a global consensus emerging.
Pretty much a real turning point in recognizing AI's societal impact.
But that raises a question some experts bring up. Do we actually need entirely new ethical frameworks?
That's a fair point.
Couldn't our existing human rights declarations, cover it?
It's a really interesting debate.
Hmm.
On one hand, yes, principles like non-discrimination, privacy, they're already there. They're fundamental.
Mm-hmm.
But AI does things differently, doesn't it? The scale of data, the autonomy, it throws up some novel challenges.
Like how?
Well, take privacy. How does that right apply when AI systems can analyze, vast digital footprints in ways we never imagined before? Or accountability when an AI makes a decision, who is responsible?
So the existing principles are the foundation, but we need to figure out how they apply specifically to AI.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
We need to translate them for this new context.
Mm.
And many frameworks are emphasizing core principles, consistently respecting rights, transparency, accountability, inclusivity.
Even environmental sustainability comes up, which is interesting.
Yes, that's increasingly part of the picture too, the hidden costs.
Okay, so let's talk about those hurdles. The sources get into the practical challenges of actually implementing these ethical ideas.
Right, because principles are one thing. Making them stick is another.
What are the big ones? I saw mention of enforcement.
Definitely. A lack of robust enforcement and accountability mechanisms is a major issue. You can have great guidelines, but there's no teeth.
How do you ensure they're followed?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then there are those hidden costs we just touched on. It's not just social impacts, but the environmental footprint of training these huge AI models. That's a growing concern.
And the diversity point, why is having diverse teams building AI so critical?
Ah, that's crucial. If the people creating the AI systems all come from similar backgrounds, they might unintentionally build in their own biases,
Okay.
or they might miss potential negative impacts on groups they aren't familiar with. Diverse teams bring different perspectives, different lived experiences. That's vital for spotting and mitigating bias, and frankly, building better, fairer AI.
So it's about avoiding blind spots, essentially.
Precisely. Blind spots that can lead to discrimination or other harms.
Okay, so moving from principles and problems to potential solutions, what do the sources suggest for promoting ethical AI in practice? You mentioned government procurement earlier.
Yes, that's a powerful tool. Governments are huge buyers of technology.
Right.
So if they start demanding ethical AI requiring things like human rights impact assessments or scoring vendors on their ethical practices, that sends a strong signal to the market. It creates incentives.
Makes sense. Use the purchasing power. What else?
Multi-stakeholder governance is that a key theme. The idea that it shouldn't just be governments and tech companies deciding things.
Who else needs to be involved?
Civil society groups, researchers, ethicists. Crucially, the communities actually affected by AI systems.
Yeah.
You need that broad input.
to get a fuller picture of
Oh,
the
that's
impact.
exactly. And because AI changes so fast, the sources stress the need for adaptive regulations, rules that can evolve alongside the technology. We can't just set something in stone and expect it to work 5 years from now.
It needs to be flexible.
Very much so.
Can we make this more concrete? What are some specific examples from the sources showing how AI impacts different types of rights, both good and bad?
Absolutely. And the scope is really wide: civil, political, economic, social, cultural rights,
Yep.
even what we might call digital rights.
Okay, like what?
Well, on the positive side, think about AI improving medical diagnostics,
Hmm.
spotting diseases earlier. That clearly impacts the right to health.
Huge potential there.
Definitely. But then you look at AI used in the criminal justice system for risk assessments, maybe.
Hmm.
There's a significant risk of algorithmic bias leading to discriminatory outcomes, impacting rights to equality and fair treatment.
Or in hiring.
Or hiring, exactly.
Yeah.
AI screening resumes could perpetuate existing biases if not carefully designed and audited. Facial recognition technology raises massive privacy and surveillance concerns.
Affecting freedom of assembly, maybe.
Potentially, yes.
Yeah.
And freedom of expression online can be shaped by content moderation algorithms. So it's this constant tension, immense potential benefits alongside significant risks across the board.
The sources also mention key international frameworks guiding this. We talked about UNESCO, but what about, say, the OECD AI principles or the recent UN resolution?
Yeah, those are important reference points. The OECD principles, they offer a set of values-based guidelines for trustworthy AI that many countries have signed up to. They focus on things like human-centered values, fairness, transparency, robustness, accountability.
Kind of setting a baseline.
Kind of setting a baseline, yes. And the UN AI resolution from March 2024, that's significant because it shows this is now being discussed at the highest international level, aiming for global consensus on promoting safe, secure, and trustworthy AI systems.
So a growing international effort to get everyone on, well, maybe not the same page, but at least in the same chapter.
Something like that. Building common ground rules.
Okay, so wrapping things up a bit. What are the really practical takeaways from our sources, the implementation guidelines we should keep in mind?
It boils down to a few core ideas, really. First, using tools like AI procurement standards to drive ethical practices.
Right, the government purchasing power again.
Second, embracing that multi-stakeholder governance, making sure diverse voices are genuinely part of the conversation, not just an afterthought.
Inclusivity in governance.
Exactly. And third, recognizing the need for adaptive regulatory approaches. We need systems that can keep pace with how quickly AI is evolving. It's not a one-and-done thing.
Constant vigilance, almost.
You could say that. Constant learning and adaptation.
So, taking all this in, what does it mean for you, our listener, the learner? We've covered a lot of ground here on AI ethics and human rights.
Hopefully you've got a clearer sense now of the core principles, the very real challenges, and also the global efforts underway to steer AI in a direction that benefits humanity.
Yeah, the sources definitely paint a picture of a world waking up to AI's profound implications.
Absolutely. That shift from self-regulation towards human rights frameworks, the
Yeah.
focus on these core ethical ideas, the practical steps being debated, it shows a growing seriousness about AI governance.
So, here's a final thought to leave you with. Think about algorithmic bias. Consider the AI systems you interact with or might use in the future. How can we all, as individuals, as society, push for more transparency, more accountability to try and mitigate those risks and work towards fairer outcomes for everyone?
That's the critical question, isn't it? How do we shape this technology responsibly?
Something to definitely keep thinking about.
Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We really hope it sparked some aha moments and gave you valuable insights into this incredibly important and fast-moving field.